Oh, do you want me to tell it because I remember it all as it happened?
I was very drunk.
Yeah. I started doing drag just over 3 years ago. We met the day I did drag the first time. It was the 23rd of March 2018.
Was it your first day in drag?
Yeah.
How unlucky that you met me.
I know.
We kind of like chatted for a bit, and then you found me on Facebook, but as Josh, and I remember being like, who is this?
I mean, I spoken before and called myself the Miss Hannigan of drag because I fucking orphan turned up on their first day out in drag, and all of a sudden I'm looking after them like.
1, 2.
You get off your phone.
And that's that.
Did you manage to post that? Do you want to post that before we go?
Yeah, please do. Go for it.
Sorry,
Honestly.
post it.
Would you say that having a drag family benefits a drag queen league? Not only because obviously there's someone that you have, but
people that you don't have to pay as much as everybody else. It's fabulous. No, of course it does. You build a brand with them.
I think it can. There's a very fine line between gaining opportunities from your friend and using your friend for those benefits, and you don't want to use that, because if you get opportunities, you want to get those opportunities for who you are, not who you know.
what's it like, first of all, for someone from your drag family going on Drag Race?
That's a proud moment.
The thing is, yeah, I wasn't at all surprised.
No.
Yes, bitch! I am the international cabaret sensation, Joe Black.
Joe's gorgeous. I just
You've
adore
performed
Joe.
together, like you've known each other for a while.
I've known Joe for a while, and I just every time I'm in Joe's company, I'm slightly terrified, but also just have such a camp time. I feel slightly removed from US Drag Race and not by the Atlantic. Because I think I recognise the style of drag and I get what they're doing more.
I think, yeah, before I got into drag and I just loved Drag Race, obviously you love it for what it is. When you actually do it yourself, I will criticise and I will take personal offence to things because there is no one way of doing drag, and I think Drag Race, it's starting to get out of the habit of thinking that, but it's still not quite there yet because they're still trying to mould them into what the US Drag Race has made people think drag is.
Something I probably could have bought off the rack at Primark, no joke.
Huge disappointment to me. That's what everyday people do. It is from H&M. You better glitter the fuck out of it and make it something special. Don't waste my time. I don't want to see any fucking H&M.
When you go on Drag Race, you know what you're signing up for, but there's a line between knowing what you're signing up for in a competition and just being berated for being who you are because it's not what they're used to, and that's the difference between them having done their research and having not done their research.
There are some mother-daughter relationships within sort of drag families where you start to build a resemblance because someone teaches you to do your makeup.
That's like the traditional way of how it's traditionally someone who puts you into drag for the first time, but it's also, I would class it as it's someone who helps you in your drag career when you're starting out, which is how that came to be.
Well, I was never teaching anybody how to do fucking makeup, let's be honest. The negative experience that one can have, and it's one that luckily we haven't experienced because of the way we are together, is when you have the sort of drag family relationship where you are essentially teaching someone what to do. You are basically creating your own competition. And that's where I think some drag families do fall down. As a mother, you create this daughter who becomes an image of yourself. And then if that person can start doing what you do better than what you can, that's when that dynamic becomes problematic. Whereas we've never tried to do that. We support each other and what each other does.
From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home.
It was so ridiculously stupid and awful that it felt like a parody. It felt like it was one big joke, because it's like,
There were two reactions to a lot of it. It was either laughter or crying, because there was no in between. The moments where the arts industry knew what was going to happen, people could plan. It may not be the best scenario. None of this was ever going to be the best scenario. People could plan, and therefore every single moment of indecision, which was every 2 out of 3 fucking moments with this government, with this whole shebang, was when people lost their jobs. We can't even begin to start on how poorly the freelancers were treated. So that is drag queens, people who don't have a base of operations. And it didn't matter whether you were starting out or the best in the biz, every single one of them, nothing.
Has that been a struggle for you, having to go digital to kind of keep the drag alive?
Necessary. And that's the thing. I mean, if you are someone who loves what you do, and the pair of us, first and foremost, whether it's digital, whether it's drag, whether it's musical theatre, whether it's Shakespeare, whatever it is, we're performers. And we are just performers who seem to have found themselves looking slightly more sparkly than other ones do. And you, if you are a performer, you will adapt to perform. Whatever the task is, you will find a way to give your best performance under those circumstances.
I suppose, yeah, the difference between doing something live and doing it digital is not having the adrenaline rush of an audience reaction. That's delayed.
That's weird.
So you get the adrenaline rush days after, when it's actually put in the show and everyone's commenting on it and everyone's seeing it for the first time. That's where the adrenaline comes in, whereas when you perform on stage, it's instant. The reaction of an audience really...
You feed off of it.
Yeah,
it
takes your performance in the direction where it goes. The bigger the audience reaction, I know personally, the more confident I feel.
It peaks and troughs your performance.
So regardless of anything, pandemic and all, there's just nothing that compares to being on the stage.
Yeah,
no.
I love digital drag. I've gotten so much out of it, but it doesn't compare to hearing the applause of an audience.
But I think the reason that because you do shine in your digital numbers is because you have taken ownership of that space. Because of the recognition that you've got for it, you can own a live stage in exactly the same way. You do have that ability.
There was like a period of time where I took an unwelcomed hiatus, is what I'm going to call it. And then when I came back off of that, from being like in a really poor mental state, I was like, right, I just need to channel all of this creatively because I know that gives me a purpose.
And as you kind of say, like, it was going to be a few weeks, a couple of months. It was going to be until the end of the year, whatever it was. Like, what did we even think it was going to be back then? Really think 3 weeks? Jesus, we were wrong.
The pandemic, I think, impacted people who do drag full time.
It's people like Alfie.
And like Joe.
Yeah.
Which is going to sound weird when I say I don't have the luxury of being able to do that.
Yeah.
But as far as we're concerned, it was more, obviously we had not seen each other in person in over a year, and back when I lived in Chichester, we would see each other all the time. The pandemic stopped that. Now we talk to each other almost every day.
Yeah.
Calling each other at inconvenient times.
Why did you look at me when you said that?
Because you did that twice this week.
You give her life,
No, I don't.
and then you look at an inconvenience. For me, the reason that someone becomes drag family is because they understand your queer self in a way that your biological family may not. And that's a very important thing. There's a homeliness to those people. You can be yourself entirely. You can have the most supportive biological family, but
they're still not gonna.
They're never gonna get it 100%.
It's an understanding thing.
Yeah.
This is someone who understands it from first-hand perspective.
You don't have to pretend.